From the KELOLAND Digital Desk, I'm meteorologist Scott Mundt. This is Weather or Not. It is Monday, March 9th, and we'll have a warm day today, though not nearly as warm, of course, as what we had yesterday when we were set some records in western, central, eastern, southeastern KELOLAND, temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Nothing like that for today. It will cool. Temperatures will range from the 40s, north central South Dakota, to near 70 maybe in south central, southwestern South Dakota. So we will have a big difference in temperatures for today. And with that difference, we'll have to watch for a wintry mix. Late today, north central and northeastern South Dakota for the overnight hours. We may see some accumulating snow in northeastern South Dakota, where an inch of accumulation cannot be ruled out. That will move through. Clouds may remain through much of the day for tomorrow, but temperatures will warm above freezing. And then we have this next round of a wintry mix that will move through maybe a little sooner as compared to what's expected for today. We can see that happen a little sooner for tomorrow. Futurecast by 3 o'clock already showing that northwestern to northeastern South Dakota. Now, what will happen is as we get into the overnight hours, this will move east and start to move to the southeast as well. So this will bring in that wintry mix in the central South Dakota late in the evening and overnight. And then we may see something across the east and southeast, maybe just in time for that morning commute on Wednesday morning. Wintry mix in the eastern and southeastern KELOLAND, that will move through. We'll try to bring in sunshine and melting temperatures as we get into Wednesday afternoon. But you will notice the temperatures today will be cooler than what we had yesterday, and I think that cooling trend will continue right into Wednesday. And then by Thursday, those temperatures will shoot back up. 60-degree weather's on the table for the southern half of the area as we get into Thursday. And then after that, guess what? We cool again and bring in another round of precipitation, something that we'll have to watch for this coming weekend. Winds for today, I don't think they'll be that bad, but coming in from a north, maybe northeasterly direction, that's a good cooling wind across eastern KELOLAND. As we get into the evening hours, those winds may pick up a little across western and southwestern South Dakota, and even during the overnight. As that system comes in the central KELOLAND, you'll notice a northerly wind. This one's trying to paint in a northeast wind with some of these gusts around 30 to 35 miles per hour. And then as we look ahead into this week, it's Thursday afternoon that we'll watch. Western South Dakota right now suggesting wind gusts near 50 in Rapid City. That brown color that you do see, those are wind gusts over 50 miles per hour, maybe even approaching 60 in western South Dakota. So we are looking at some strong winds later in the week, Thursday, in western KELOLAND. Forecast for today, the winds won't be nearly that strong. Highs will reach the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It will be another above average today, but not as warm as what we had yesterday. Tonight, temperatures fall to the 20s and 30s, and then for tomorrow, take another step back. Temperatures in the 30s, 40s to near 50 degrees as we'll have east to northeast winds. That's not a good wind to warm. Coming up after the break, we'll talk about some of these precipitation numbers as we are getting close to a week and a half into the month of March. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Precipitation numbers, what we have so far this month and what we have so far for the year. Let's go ahead and show. Let's first start with yesterday, with our numbers from yesterday. Of course, this isn't precipitation. This is the mild air that we had, setting records. Spencer, Sioux Falls, Huron, Aberdeen, Mobridge, Pierre, and Rapid City all set records yesterday with temperatures in the 60s and 70s, up to 73 in Sioux Falls. The old record was 69. Now I think we're down to just 2 days in the month of March where we have record highs in the 60s, and we've already passed those dates. 74 in Huron, 75 in Pierre. Just missed 80 in Rapid City at 79. Now, of course, we know that we can use the moisture. We have high fire danger across the area. You know, with these warm temperatures, as nice as it is, we can definitely use some moisture. We do have some on the way hit and miss chances for precipitation, I think, as we do go through the week, maybe even a better chance for this coming weekend as we start to cool it off. We could see a better chance for a wintry mix Saturday and Sunday, and then much cooler to begin next week. But we'll talk more about that later. So far for this month, you can see many locations are below average, the exception being Huron. Real close to average, just the 1/100th of an inch above Pine Ridge, average as compared to the month. Otherwise, the amounts are coming in here, I'd say close to 2/10 of an inch below where we should be for the first week and couple of days of March. Now, when you look at the year, everybody's coming in below average, getting close to 1.5 inches in Sioux Falls for the year, about 3/4 of an inch below in Rapid City, close to 1 inch below in Pierre, 1/2 inch below in Aberdeen, and about 1/3 of an inch below in Watertown. Any precipitation in the works. Now, this is taking us through the work week. The European model, and I think it's doing a pretty good job because we do have these hit and miss chances for rain and or snow. And a lot of this will fall, as I just showed you, in the northern KELOLAND, maybe tonight, and then again tomorrow night, going into Wednesday. So we'll continue to follow these chances we have at a wintry mix, even over the next 3 days. So it is picking up on that. Now, I stopped it on Friday for a reason, because Brian will be here in just a bit, and we'll talk about what's expected for this weekend forecast in the form of rain and snow and colder air coming in right behind it. Now, this is the American model. It says through Saturday, but it's actually through Friday. That circle you see to the southeast, that is something that's left over from last week. But, as you do take a look at South Dakota, not much precipitation to really speak of. So the American model really wants to keep us a lot drier as compared to what it is showing on the European model. So we'll talk to meteorologist Brian Karstens coming up next. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. I'm now joined by meteorologist Brian Karstens. And Brian, how was your weekend? I know it was another busy one for you.
Yeah, we had to travel to Minneapolis over the weekend to another gymnastics tournament.
Good. How'd that go?
It went pretty well. Ellie wasn't feeling quite her best, but, she did well. And one thing about it, we have had, just considering our travel plans, because we've been quite a few different places, but we've managed to sneak in right after several systems, because even on our way over to Minneapolis, we saw at least 2 semis rolled over on Highway 60, headed up through the Windham area. Huron Lake, I know there was one there. And, it just tells you about Friday night's weather, how slick it was. And then to have that massive turnaround into Sunday, where we're back in the 70s. Well, I shouldn't say back, but first time. Mm-hmm. First time in the 70s.
Above and beyond 70. Made it to 73. Set a record.
Record highs.
In fact, Brian, let's go ahead and start there. I like doing this on the fly more than anything else. Because we remember talking about those high temperatures in the 60s in March.
I remember the day on this show that you showed that bar chart that had that 70 out there, and that's been a long time ago.
Was that the end of February?
It had to have been. And here's the thing. So then it backs off. Data's not quite that warm. And then all of a sudden at the last minute, here it goes.
Comes back in.
And isn't weather like that? It's just typical. We'll see these things. So sometimes when we show you, like, I'm imagining we'll probably do today too, a little bit of this long range stuff. It's always the concept. The idea is there. It's just sometimes the particulars of which day or just how warm it gets?
All right, I was saving it, but I'll do it. I'll do it on the fly here. Okay, this is a graphic.
Putting you on the spot.
This one, no, that's perfect. So, with that in mind, what you just said, and I think even last week we saw that high temperature of 79 forecast in Sioux Falls for March 19th. So as I go through columns here, the first one's the date. When I looked at the forecast model, and there's the model high, and this is just off the European, and that's the forecast date on the third column. Well, the following day on Friday, it went from 79 to 46. So these things come and go. And then Saturday, I looked at it Saturday morning and said 85, but on March 20th. And then the next day, cut off 40 degrees from that, 45. This morning, it's saying high of 71, March 19th. So you know that these things go back and forth. And something else that I'm starting today is I'm looking at the amount of precipitation, liquid precipitation that it is forecasting leading into whatever day it is, the 19th or the 20th. I have it written down. I don't have it in the graphic yet. And it's 2/3 of an inch is what it's forecasting. I really think the amount of moisture we have in the ground, maybe around us, if we get snow on the ground, will play a huge factor in how warm we get. So we'll see what happens with these models.
Yeah,
and we'll see if we get any precipitation.
That's the thing. Yeah, we got to watch to see how much of the precipitation we can get, because wet ground, or at least getting something in the ground for moisture, is a good thing at this point. I think many of us would agree. It's just the method of getting that. I don't think anybody really wants to have wind-blown snow.
Right.
But could that happen this weekend?
Right. That's our weekend forecast. What do we have to look forward to for this coming weekend? Should be a lot different than the weekend we just had. Though on Friday, leading into it, we had ice.
We did. Yep. And guess what? We get to go back to a few talking points of some snow chances this week. I know we've mentioned this several times. These little streaks of moisture keep coming. We got one tonight in northern South Dakota. We've got Tuesday night, Wednesday morning showing up here. And lo and behold, look at that. There's a little evidence of snow in there from Rapid City. See the Black Hills? Aha, it's March. Black Hills tend to light up
Be
more.
nice to get that. Fire danger, that's high again today. Southwestern, South Central South Dakota, they can use the water.
Absolutely. Yep. And so here's the other takeaway on this map. I wanted to show Tuesday night. Pretty rough weather. Missouri, Illinois, sounds like these same talking places we've mentioned before, severe weather outbreaks. You look at the raw data out of Kansas City. Now, remember, this Friday night event, we had storms down there, but we had, of course, the worst of the tornadoes in Michigan, and then the day prior was Oklahoma, although the second night, too, it was Tulsa. So the whole region, the central region, south of us, is going to get storms again. And so we're thinking in this go-around, not as much going on maybe on our side of it. There could be snow around, but we're not forecasting anything significant right now. Then the whole thing collapses. We go to a northwest flow. That's pretty obvious. The jet stream, see the arrows? All coming in from this way. And that leads into yet the next system. It's like a parade.
And remember, Brian, we're in agreement with this too. And you brought this up to me, and I thought about it this morning. It's almost the same pattern of what we had back in November and December.
It sure reminds us of that, doesn't it? And the
cold air to the northeast, warm air west and southwest, sandwiched in between. We get these storm systems to run through.
So if you plotted out what happened around Thanksgiving into early December, where was all the snow? Well, it was a lot of it was tracking north and east of Sioux Falls at that time. And if you just take for face value some of these projections, there's another example, that Thursday system, that could be a day where it's 65 to 70 down around Hot Springs. And then you end the day with snow around Mobridge and Aberdeen. And then it reloads again. And the same thing. It's a very, I would say the temperature contrast is fueling a lot of that. It's the problem here, and this is where we'll probably land on in this conversation, is how to handle this wave right in here, Saturday night into Sunday. This piece is a little more potent. There's definitely some things wrapping up. And notice how the jet stream winds really crank there on Monday, and that's a fusion of colder air. We had a couple maps earlier on the show. This is the one that we started off with was Saturday, which conceptually, I'm thinking about this. Of course, you bring up the parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade, which that one is hit and miss. It can be nice. It can be not so nice. We've seen it all. But here's the thing. If this system slows down, okay, just for argument's sake, let's say tomorrow we walk in the office and this whole thing, slows down at least 12 hours. I could see a scenario where Sioux Falls could get in the 50s on Saturday.
Yep.
Maybe it's in the 70s in Nebraska. But watch as I play this out. And then again, this is going to take us out through the day on Saturday. So let's see. The warm front, if I'm eyeballing this right, probably I-90, something like that. And then that's a Saturday night map. So what do you have going on up here? Well, this is all that colder air. Here's the key. If that cold signal continues, if we can lock in on a batch of cold air, and when I say cold, I'm talking highs in the 20s. This would be air that would be cold enough to bring a wind chill map out.
So it would be about 10, 15 degrees colder than this last system we had on Friday.
Yeah, because that never had any component of cold. I know it got cold enough for freezing rain for a short time, and sleet and all that, but it quickly warmed up. This is different. This is much different, and this idea of getting a cold snap, we'll see how long, but to get it mid-month, we've talked about this numerous times on this show. So just to circle back around, if this cold just keeps up, you watch the modeling. Watch what it does with this, because I think then that gives us growth potential. Because I know we have the warmth on the warm side of it.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question that exists. It's just the amount of cold behind it. See what it does here? Pretty dynamic system in there. I know I hit the button here again, so it goes to today's forecast. But the bottom line is it's going to be both rain and snow. Let me go back to this. Here we go. One more time. And here, I'll say it. I think there's the potential this could go to a spring March blizzard for portions of the northern plains. Now, that doesn't mean it's your backyard, but let's see, between North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, there's a lot of wind that comes in on the backside. We didn't show a lot of that on the show today. I think maybe we had one segment where that came up, and it was 40 plus. But there's, you get some snow and 40 to 50 mile an hour wind, I would pay attention.
And I'm curious, too, is how cold it gets behind it. I posed the question to you during KELOLAND this morning. Do we have to bring the wind chill maps back out? And you were looking at things behind the scenes, and it looks like, this time next week, Monday of next week, we could have as that colder air starts to pour in. And then I thought to myself, okay, how cold can it be, and what are the records? Can we get record cold? I think on Monday it's 8 below in Sioux Falls, and then Tuesday it's 9 below.
Yeah.
Do we get that cold? I was looking for some below zero temperatures on the forecast models. They're in North Dakota. We'll see if any of that starts to sneak down.
It's not that far. I mean,
No.
Look at Aberdeen. I mean, this could really shake things up for a little bit for early next week. So we're not done with winter. We're going to find some room to carve out some systems. But, having said that, as much as the pendulum swings, I mean, it's all the hallmarks of that. I want to say typical March weather, but you got to remember we're already more even like an April feel, as warm as it's been lately.
Oh, yeah.
So we're maybe an end of March feel right now in my book. At least what I'm thinking of is highs in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and then to slide back into the 20s and 30s.
Well, even today's high temperature, forecasting 62 in Sioux Falls. Well, yeah, it's cooler than what we had yesterday, the record high of 73, but 62, we're still 21 degrees above average.
Yeah, that's like a mid to late April forecast, what would be normal. So, yeah, it's definitely got us thinking about how these things are changing, but you're going to have a little grace involved here because obviously these day-to-day changes, there's a lot of spread across our viewing area. Some of you watching us are going to have days again in the 60s and 70s. Some of you are going to have some more snow to move.
Oh, yeah.
As we look upon the forecast.
And talking about the forecast, Brian, I am going to show something in the next weather segment in western South Dakota. So stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Last segment, Brian. This is where we usually talk about the extended forecast, and did a little teaser talking about western South Dakota. And you brought this up too, but it's always interesting to bring in some of these numbers. Now, this is for Sioux Falls, and I want to show it right away. This is the extended forecast, and I talked about that graphic that I'm keeping an eye on. I wrote down the information for Rapid City, and depending on what happens here over the next couple of days, I will make a graphic for it. Look what it has for numbers in Rapid City. 82 on the 18th, 86 on the 21st.
Yeah, 33 before
Dramatic pause.
Look at how up and down that goes. That big drop, though, from Saturday to Sunday, isn't that something? A 72. So what would have to happen there? The low track would have to come in just right so you'd warm up. We talked about Nebraska. Excellent chances ahead of this system to see 70s and 80s. And then on the backside, on Sunday, Monday, it drags in low 30s in the hills with snow. And then it has North Dakota in probably colder and also windy. But then look at how fast the Black Hills. I mean, you shoot out an 82 by March 18th. Okay. Now, is it going to be that exact date?
No, I mean, but
86? What day is that? That's the 21st.
That's 21st.
Isn't that the first
day of spring? Usually around there.
And just so the audience knows this, there's actually a couple of 90s even showing up on, if you look at the graphical version of this. But then look at that at the very end.
Day, mid-40s.
Right back down. Yep. So I think it's pretty safe to say that March and whatever you want to say this time of year, sprinter, as we call it.
Sprinter.
Yeah, it just does this. And it is going to go up and down a lot.
Yeah.
So that keeps us busy, right?
It does. And hopefully it brings in better chances for precipitation. I know we can do without, blizzards.
Right. We don't want a blizzard.
A lot of headaches traveling. We went through all this ice in eastern KELOLAND just this past Friday. So, of course, we could do without that stuff. But the precipitation as a whole would be nice, I think.
Some nice, gentle rain.
We'll see what we can do. And we'll continue to follow it, give you updates as those conditions do warrant. Otherwise, thank you for watching this latest edition of Whether or Not. Have yourself a great day.